Welcome to Flow Brewing. Today we are in the garage. You can see, kind of working on the setup. We got a new camera recording in high def today. We are sort of making slow progress as we go. On the last video, which is not yet posted as of recording this, I showed you guys the new heat shield that we built. And we're starting to have a lot of learning lessons as we do. One of the things that I was really slow to get started on was I wanted everything to be perfect, and so I was real hesitant for getting things done and trying to achieve perfection. And so anyways, what I've learned throughout this is it's better just to do. It does cost a little bit more. I would not advocate just doing things blindly, but anyways, as you can see, my brewing stand set up, it's good. It only cost me $130 to build. My pots were expensive, but I plan on having those for life. And I don't see anything happening to those anytime soon. But like the brew stand, cost me $132 or $130. A lot of time invested in that, but I learned. And what I learned is that even though I didn't have a pump, what I really want to do is buy a pump and actually make it more like a rim system where it's flat. That way I can brew here in the garage on off days. I don't have to wheel it out there in the front of the house. I am a little concerned that one of these days somebody's going to say something to me like I can't brew out there. But until then, I'm going to be brewing out there. I've also sort of adapted from the brewing calculations that I've been developing, and I'm using those in conjunction with Beersmith. You know, some of the competitions that I've been entering, I've been stuck at that 30-32 score, and I was talking with some people about that. And the thing is, I got some really good advice from a friend that's getting ready to become a pro brewer. And he was saying, you know, I don't really know what 3 pounds of crystal malt will do to a beer, but I know what 10% of crystal malt will do to a beer in the recipe. So it's good to use those calculations and say, you know what, I'm going to use 10% crystal malt, and then have the calculation generate the amount of pounds. And that's where the brewing software is real helpful. My Excel doc does the same thing. So really what I'm doing is I'm using the brewing software to double check my calculations in Excel. And then the brewing software, it allows me to kind of use the program. It's a little bit helpful for not doing some more of the more intense calculations like the Tensive formula on calculating bitterness units, and I know there's a large deviation there, but you know, that's kind of where I'm at now. I think it's important to do the math, understand how the math works, which is kind of like the whole premise behind our education model, but then go ahead and use that brewing software, especially if you're not wanting to write your own or anything like that, and just use what's out there, but make sure you understand how that software is really working. So today we made some tweaks to our porter recipe. I've actually got my porter in there. I'll get it, we'll have a sip, kind of talk about it. But that beer was a very good beer, nice roasted flavor, nice bitterness up front, and but it was missing a little bit in the middle, and it didn't have that dynamic flavor for a beer. So what we decided to do was tweak the recipe a little bit. We're using different levels of crystal malts, so 60 level of bond, 80 level of bond, 120 level of bond crystal malts to get a little bit wider flavor profile from those crystal malts. We're using a Maris Otter malt that I didn't have available to me last time I brewed this recipe to get a little bit more body to the beer and a little bit more toffee-like flavors. And then, you know, keeping the chocolate and roasted malts at about the same percentage, roughly 4% of the recipe, a little bit over that. And we're gonna try and see if we can get a more toffee-like multi-flavor throughout the drink. We're going to use a cleaner bittering hop than we used last time. Last time I used Summit as a bittering hop. This time I'm going to use Magnum, trying to get a little bit cleaner hop profile. There'll be some more talks on hop oils and which oils contribute which flavors. So anyways, shooting for that. And then we're going to have big Summit and Centennial editions at the end. So we're looking for a nice, warming, alcohol-flavored beer that has that crisp, sort of alpine, piney nose to it. And we'll see how she turns out. We're going to try and get this into a competition. And looking forward to making this beer today. We've got our water warming for mash in. We're going to go check that temp, take a few pictures of the setup, go ahead and add our Camden tablets, and we'll get started. So cheers, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you in a sec. Alright, we have a little over 30 pounds here of Maris Otter and the rest of the recipe. We're going to taste it. Camera's having a hard time focusing. And man, it's got a good grainy, toasted flavor. So we're going to go ahead and start mashing this in, and we'll go. Well, we have mashed in here, and we are at 143. Pretty good temp for the wheat malt that we added to this. And you can see down in there, well, you can't really, but it's a beautiful toasted little aroma. I'm going to go ahead and prep my yeast slurry and get that going, and then we should be ready for boil pretty shortly after that. We are mashing out at 147, and you can see the liquid there just kind of pouring in. Beautiful, beautiful dark order. Hopefully we got good conversion. We'll measure it here shortly. Just really impressed with the aroma. Mash temp, nailed it. It was a very, very good mash. So we are going to work on having this slowly sparge out, and then we will go ahead and get this on boil. So I'm going to hook up the fire and get it going. Here we have taken our mash pH, and you can see down there, I guess I should get it off, approximately 5.0, and I'm not sure that's right. So I'm on my second mini mash where I'm doing my second runnings. I'm going to take the pH again just to see where we're at. I added my Camden tablet late, so that's going to have caused potentially for me not to get the full effect of the Camden tablet, but you know, kind of been a rocky brew day, so I am going to focus and make some changes on my planning schedule and get things on the calendar, and we'll make adjustments from there. So anyways, I'll take the second pH here in a sec, and then we'll be on boil after our second little mash in sparge. 5.5 gallons here, and beautiful wort. And so now what we're going to do is do our second mash, get that into the mash, and stir it up, and then we'll get this on boil. Hit 166. We were at 170. We we added 10 gallons of sparge water. We're gonna let this sit 15 minutes. And we are going to do an experiment where we ferment 5 gallons of this with American ale yeast, and 5 gallons we're going to be doing like a Baltic porter, where we ferment it with the yeast cake from the Bohemian Pilsner. So here we have new pH just under 5.5, right at 5.3, which is a lot more acidic than I expected. So I'm going to have to look and see. This is more just a test. I didn't really plan to be anywhere right here. Probably should have, but anyways, just testing it out, seeing where we're at, and comparing it to the last Bohemian Pilsner we made. And we're getting ready to sparge our second runnings and then get on board. Here we have the final second runnings. We finished at 160 degrees. We might even have this a little hot, so I'm going to back it off here. But you can see we're just under 160 now, and this is our second runnings. So we can see that we are coming up on 6 gallons, which I actually expected to have a little bit more than that. But anyways, we've got a beautiful little second running there, and we're going to taste this to make sure that it tastes all right. Here we have our wort. And man, flavor is much better than last time. It's got the roast, but it doesn't have an astringent bite to it, and it's got a really, really nice sweetness. So anyways, that makes me excited for this. I apologize, the camera's a little out of focus there. Finally got her back, but very, very good light roast taste with a good sweet body. So hopefully this will be a good beer, and we're gonna get her on boil. Unfortunately, we just had our first ever boil over. I've never actually had that happen, and you can see here that it made quite a mess. So looks like we're gonna have our scrubbing to do after this is all said and done. You can see here that our heat shield has made a world of heat shield and a better boil. So we're going to continue to monitor this boil here and enjoy it. And I'm going to finish kegging and cleaning up my carboys. Kegging the beer that's in there and getting them clean. And here we have the final version of our porter that we made today. Getting ready to pitch the yeast. We're going to hook up the temp monitor and then go ahead and pitch the American Ale yeast. So looking forward to seeing the outcome. Didn't get a refractometer reading on this bit that I pulled out here. I should have taken that earlier, but it was crazy. I took a little bit out of the hose that I used to fill this, and it read 1060, which is 6 points low. And given that I was at 1056 pre-boil, or 1055, I'm thinking it was probably closer to 1065, but not real sure. Anyways, I think I got enough sugar in there. I think the yeast will do a good job, and looking forward to the final product.